Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, Seed Time Harvest. We're going to do some fall planting today. It seems silly to be planting for fall when it's 100 degrees, and it is very challenging. I'm having to water my seeds at least twice a day to keep the soil from drying out, and I really can't mulch until the seeds sprout. So I've got a huge container. This black one back here is cabbages, and this orange one is bunching onions. I haven't seen any sign of life from that pot yet, but it is fresh seed, so I have hope. That I'm already running through like 3 weeks behind on some of the stuff that I wanted to get planted, but it's okay because I've still got plenty of time to get seeds in the ground. So I'll lay out the seeds and I'll show you what we got going on today. Okay, here are the seeds we're going to be planting. Got some calendula, cauliflower, broccoli, kohlrabi, celery, some calendula. I like this one. It's for medicinal use, for making salves. I like to make salves with that. I have a different variety, but it's more for cut flowers. And then, let's see, what are this? This is cabbage. Beans, we got pole beans, some parsnips. I don't know that I'm gonna soak those while we're planting some other stuff. And we've got collards, oric, miscellaneous. So that's it. We'll get those planted. All right, here's the herb bed that I mistakenly allowed a weed to grow in. And you can see the big stump of it. I cut that out. So we're gonna poke in a couple of cilantro, and I'm gonna throw in a couple noodle beans at the back because I really like noodle beans and they can grow up the fence for a time. So I don't get real technical when planting seeds. You can see I just kind of get them in there. So and depending on the seed, depending on how deep I go, but some of these I just barely rake in. These are just those packages of miscellaneous herbs that if they're dill, that's great. If they're parsley, that's great. I don't know. They look like a dill or a parsley to me. So we'll just sprinkle and cover. Let's see what happens in this. This is my eucalyptus that I accidentally ripped out the other day. I thought it would replant, but it did not. So it is dried eucalyptus. I'm sure we can use that for something. Ooh. There's Sophie. Hi, Sophie. Hi. There's my roselle, getting to be quite a beast. And another roselle. And over here, I found out this is a Vitex. I got this from my friend in the Spring Fling, and she is the one that donated these jewels of opar. This is such a lovely plant. I absolutely am so thankful for this. And then I just noticed that our blackberry is getting quite crazy, so we'll train that over there somewhere. But isn't that fun? And of course our Little wild creeping cucumbers. Doing great. And they're nice just to eat while I'm out here working. Better harvest those before the grasshoppers get them, because they like to munch on my beans. And I don't know why the wasps are on here. They're not even on the flowers. But this will be a nice snack for lunch. See, we got lots of beans. Lots of beans on there. Little bitty ones, but, and then I got these for lunch. This is 2 tomato plants that are growing out of the same pot, but actually taking over several other pots. So I'm gonna have to tie those back. And then of course our, oh, sorry, Bumble. Our sunflowers, that is 1 or 2 sunflowers there, but the birds and bees absolutely love it. And I believe that having something that the birds like is very helpful in my garden, because there's not a lot of birds that come over this way. But now that I've had these sunflowers, I've seen lots of little birds, sparrows and stuff in there. I guess this is turning into a garden tour because I've got so much to show y'all. This is the comfrey. It is going gangbusters. And look at this. This is my mallow. I'm gonna cut it back and see if it'll come back. But the tomato has just smothered it. And that's why I gotta get this tomato moved over. Or maybe I'll just pull that whole pot out, because I need as many pots as I can get to plant in. This one is full of bean plants. I have yet to get a bean out of there, but you can see the grasshoppers are munching it down. I may have to put a insect netting back on it. Okra has gone crazy just in this last week, and I'm gonna pull that pot over. I've got room here so it can get a little bit more sun. And then this okra is doing well. I get enough every other day probably to have a fried okra. And our blueberry bush is hanging in there, and that's all I can expect right now. So much of this is just hanging in there, and that's, you know, the best it can do in this heat. But our basil's doing great. I keep cutting it back and it keeps flushing back into nice big. This one wasn't getting enough sun, so I turned the pot, and so now this is getting, oh, there's some more beans. It's getting more sun, so it's kind of, I need to fertilize that pot. That's what I need to do. Okay, so let's see, we've got some more seeds to sow. So I have been reclaiming some pots and getting those ready to plant. One pot was completely empty, so put in a little bit of soil, and then I put in my kitchen scraps. I put all my kitchen scraps that I take out of this garden, I put them back into the garden. If I'm making a new pot, I put them in there. This cage is our pea trellis now. It had a tomato in it, and got that out, and my peas are coming up. I'm gonna post some pictures at the end of what's going on and where. Hopefully you cannot see on the camera how much sweat is going on over here, but it is hot already. It's probably only about 84, 85 degrees. I have a lot more work to do to get these seeds planted. And as you probably know, I have more seeds than space. So that happens a lot. I don't know if you remember when we planted the strawberry plants that I was gifted, but boy, was that a struggle keeping those alive. And nothing likes to be transplanted when it's 100 degrees outside, and strawberries are definitely proof of that. I lost nearly one whole pot. There's one surviving in there. So we're gonna plant something else in that pot because we don't want to waste space. And if it comes back next year, that would be great. But I want to try to get something in there that will, produce some crops this fall. Maybe something leafy. I may put my collards in there. So I'll get resituated and we'll start planting. All right, here we are. I cleaned out this pot where the strawberries were, and we are going to plant cauliflower, I decided, because this is a full pot of soil, and collards really don't need that much space. Now, I really only want 3 plants in here, but I'm gonna plant more than that. Because if I just plant 3 seeds, I might only get 1 or none. So there we are. Cauliflower is planted. I'm also going to plant some of these miscellaneous herbs and some basil. And I just found out that I don't have that much basil left. That's it. So that will be something I'm going to have to order. And one lonely strawberry plant. I will have to edit out that spinning around, won't I? So that's one more pot ready for ready to grow us some food. Now this bag has a miscellaneous bunch of seeds, but I think they're mostly dill because I grew a lot of dill at my daughter's. So I'm gonna throw some in this pot with my cabbage that's already growing and with my onions. My dill supply is in the house is down. The only thing I have left, I think, is some I bought from Natural Grocers, which is fine. But I prefer to make my herb blends for the kids with with fresh herbs or dehydrated herbs out of my own garden. You can see my awning here. This is where I had put my insect netting, and I'm thinking about getting some greenhouse plastic and put over that and see what happens. Keep my garden happy in the winter. Let's get another batch. Okay, this pot is completely empty, and we are going to plant some pole beans on the back side because they can maybe stretch for the fence. Oh, this grass. Sometimes I wish I believed in using poison because I would spray that grass. Okay, so pole beans. I've had these, gosh, a few years. They were packed for 21. I've never planted them, so I'm interested to see. Then, my favorite green of all time is collards. I'm gonna be pretty generous with this and hope to get at least 5 plants up of the collards. Okay, and this bed is actually pretty saturated, so I am only gonna give it just a light sprinkle when we water. So there we go. Another pot planted. Well, I think that's all we're going to do today. Got a little warm over. I really appreciate y'all coming with me on this gardening journey. It's so much fun, and hope that we can connect in the comments. I appreciate y'all, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Stay tuned for some pictures of the garden. And as always, what seeds are you sowing this time of the year? And where are you located? And we can encourage each other to plant more food. Thank y'all.